Right, good afternoon everyone.
Pananda.
Pananda. My name is Roger James from the Black Mountains Falconry up in Abergavenny, assisted by Trish here today. Just going to show you a couple of birds that we brought along. These are some of the birds that we sometimes use for people coming on courses with us if they want to do falconry, want to learn a bit about it. But this is just a small selection that we have. We bought these because these are the better behaved ones. We left all the kids at home. The birds that we use obviously are all bred in captivity. I think a lot of people think they're sort of wild birds that have been, sort of rehabilitating. It's illegal actually to do that. And confident enough to do things, we have to imprint them. If you get an owl that is over 12 days old and you start to train it, it'll never happen, it'll never work. So they've got to be handled and starting their training when they're real babies. So he started at about 7 weeks old. He started to fly around the house, and my wife said it's about time we put him in an aviary because he had the lovely habit of flying around the house and landing on anything made of glass or china. Bless him. So he was a bit too young to put in the aviary, so we bought him a cage, not with bars, that's illegal, but one of these big sort of clear plastic ones. And for the first 3 nights he was great, and on about the 3rd or 4th night or whatever it was, we heard pitter-patter along the landing, and this little white face appeared around the bedroom door and went as barn owls do, jumped up on the bed, so that was the end of our laying. But my wife said, he's figured out exactly where we are, he's a clever devil. He made a good detective, hence his name, Sherlock. We know he's a male, because he's got a pure white front. If he was a female, he would have little black spots on his chest, a bit like a necklace. But because it's pure white, we know that he's a boy. We then started to fly him probably at about 3 weeks old, 4 weeks old, something like that. Now he only weighs 11 ounces, so he's quite little, but he's a bully, because we've got a dog at home, a big German wire-haired pointer dog, weighs 75 pounds, built like a brick outhouse, and he likes to have a lie on the rug in front of the fire. But when we get this character, have we gone dead? Yes, have we? What's happened there? 1, 2, 1, 2, hang on. Come unplugged, I think. What? No, definitely unplugged. Something's happened. I'll have to shout. 1, 2, 1. Ah, we're back.
Yay!
1, 2, 3. Thank God for that. I thought I was going to have to sing you a song. You'll all end up at home. Where was I?
I heard Tristan was singing.
He was, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Any minute. Where were we? Oh yeah, we started to fly him, but he's a bit of a bully, as I say. And when we have him in maybe twice a week, just to keep the bond with the owl, what we find is that he likes to have a little dust bath on the rug in front of the fire. Unfortunately, that's the dog's favourite bed. But he doesn't put up with the dog being on there, and he wants to drag the dog off the bed. Now you can imagine, 11 ounces, trying to drag a 75-pound dog off the rug. He wins, believe it or not, because the dog is a big chicken. And he grabs the dog by the back leg and he starts to cry, the dog I mean, and he moves him off the rug and then he has a little dust bath. So he's a bit of a bully. He's a great character with our horses and everything. He'll land on the horses, the horses adapt him. But he's a very confident little character. And we do a lot of shows with our birds. And last year he was the star performance at the Royal Welsh.
Woi, well done, Sherlock.
The other owl that we have here, which is also imprinted, is an African spotted owl. You can see he's got these little spots all over him. His name is George, and we call him Gentle George, and you can see why. Yeah, but if you look at George closely, he's got yellow eyes, whereas Sherlock here has got dark brown, almost black eyes. So if you're looking at any owl, you'll find that if they've got very dark eyes like this chap, he's a nocturnal bird, a nighttime creature. If you see an owl with orange or yellow eyes, that indicates that he's a daytime hunter, a diurnal bird. So that's basically the difference. Now I know you're not a travel looking lot. Who can tell me the most common owl in this country? Does anybody know?
Barn.
No? Anybody else? Any other sort of owl?
Tony.
Tawny? No?
I don't even know what.
No. It's
Oh, I know. Night owls. I used to be a night owl when I was a young man.
Oh, they're still looking for you.
Yeah, maybe in that cage of
No,
mice.
the most common owl we have is the teat. You've all heard of a teat owl?
Ah.
That's what you're the best one you're going to
Da,
get to.
da, 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 da.
Stop throwing things. But he again is a nice little character. We actually, I say rescued him, we didn't actually rescue him. About 10 o'clock one Sunday morning, about a year ago, had a phone call, and some chap said, have you lost an owl? I've only just woken up, I'm going through. I said, what sort of owl is he? No, he's on the phone, and he says, it's a brown one and about that big. How do you know he's that big when you're on the phone? So anyway, I said, look, we'll come out and have a look, and we'll pick him up if he's sorry. He said, I've had him about 5 or 6 days. He said, looks hungry, can't really get close to him. So anyway, I drove out to him in Ascot, the chap on a lorry yard, and there was this character sat on the bucket of a JCB. So I showed him a bit of food, he ran across, jumped up on my hand, and I thought, oh, well, that was easy enough. Anyway, we took him home. We found that he had a ring on at one time, but someone had obviously cut it off. So we're not quite sure of his origins, because we think possibly he might have been stolen, and then whoever nicked him, perhaps, had cut the ring off to stop him being identified. So anyway, we put the adverts out, we put him on Facebook, all sorts of places, and no one came to collect him. So George ended up staying with us. But he's a great little character. Somewhere in his past, someone had actually did a good job of it, of handling him. And so we started then to train him, and he came on really, really well. And at the shows now, he flies to children, and he's as good as gold. But he's very, very gentle, very soft as you can see, tapped as a brush. He's got these little ear tufts. They're not actually his ears, of course. They're long eyebrows. So when he's chatting up his girlfriend, he wiggles them around, looks pretty sexy, I tell you. So, but he's a nice little character. The one that's misbehaving in herself is probably the oldest one here. She's 17 years old, and she always likes to get under vehicles. She always thinks there's something under there that she can kill and eat, because this one is a real hunting bird. And her name is Bramble, and she's a female Harris hawk. Harris hawks come from North America, where they live in the deserts, and it's the only bird of prey that actually lives and hunts as a pack. So we're quite pleased with her, because she flies really well with our smaller male, and they hunt together really, really well. The nice thing about Harris hawks is that, as you say, we can fly 2 or 3, 4 or 5 together without them having a punch up. With each other, they'll actually share the food. It's just like a pack of wolves, really. But this one, she's a cranky old girl. She's a very good hunter. She knows what she's doing. Sometimes she knows too much. We've got the male as well, which we haven't brought today. Was smaller than she is. We haven't brought him because, for some reason, and we don't know why, he doesn't like Tris. All together now. So we don't know why. Tris has never touched him, picked him up, nothing. But he's fine. But the strange thing is, Tris's father, who's very similar to him, the male Harris hawk, swears at him, but he also swears at his dad. And they're the only 2 people that this hawk actually swears. And he, I won't tell you what it means. It's Mexican and it's a bit rude. But if he or Brian, his father, come anywhere near, the hawk starts to swear and cuss at him. But there we are, so we've left him at home. This character here, what do you like to know? This one is an unusual falcon. This one is a cross between 2 species. His dad was a peregrine falcon. Everybody said it was a peregrine, supposedly the fastest fastest animal in the world. So his dad was a peregrine, her mum was a Lana falcon from Africa. I think she was a bit of a girl,
Hey.
but this hybrid, as we call them, this crossbreeding, is quite a useful thing to do. If we're doing a display, particularly in the summer, when it gets a bit warm, remember that? Peregrine falcons are quite heavy for their size, and they need to pump their wings a lot, and if it's a hot day, they get really hot and bothered about it all. And the other thing about peregrines is when they get fit, they want to go hunting. They're not bothered in doing a display in an arena. They want to go off and do hunting. And they make you a complete prat if you're not careful. I think bigger than I am now. So if we cross the Lana falcon with it, they've got big wide wings, longer tail, and they're much lighter. And where they live in Africa and places like that where it's warm, they can fly very easily on the thermals. So if we're going to a nice warm show on a hot day, this is much better flyer than the straight peregrine. And they don't tend to lock onto things and say, I'm going to buzz off and kill something. They're more reliant than the peregrine. They wear hoods, like this one is wearing a hood here. She has one as well, much smaller obviously. And this one, her name is Rowan, and a friend of mine in Bristol actually bred her, and she's turned out to be a really nice display bird, very kind, very gentle, and she's very little trouble. She's pretty laid back about everything she does. You can see that this sort of greyish colour on her back. Some of it is much greyer than the others. There are some brown feathers, that's from the baby. She hasn't molted them all yet. But as she gets older, she'll go greyer. Well, won't we all? And she'll be much nicer. But she's sort of halfway through the molt at the moment. But she's a nice falcon to hunt with and to fly to a lure that we swing to encourage her to chase it. A bigger falcon is this one here. This is a Gyr falcon, G-Y-R. Gyr falcons come in 4 different colours from different parts of the world. She's a white one, obviously. The white falcons like this come from Greenland. The black falcons, exactly the same, but they are black, as black as a building. They tend to come from Labrador, just off the American coast. And there are grey ones that come from Scandinavia, Norway, Sweden, Denmark. And then there's silver ones, which are a bit unusual. The silver ones are a cross between the grey one and the white one. So they're a bit of a mixture. But this one, her name is Isla. She's 3 years old. The big problem with Gyr falcons is that when they're young, they have a great sense of humour. Sounds very interesting. It's very frustrating because they take the mickey out of you, something terrible. If she catches something, or she's all right with it now because she's now 3 years old and she's growing up a bit now, they're late starters. But if she catches, or it used to be, if she catches something, she'll bring it back to you, which you think is great. And then when you go to pick it up, it's probably still alive. When you go to pick it up, she lets it go. So then she'll look at you as if you're an idiot, which is probably right. She'll then go, no matter how far it goes, they're so fast and powerful, she'll just take off after it, grab it again, bring it back to you for the second time, and you think, oh, that's better. Well, she'll let it go again. And this can happen 4 or 5 times on the same bird. It's like a cat and mouse thing. And she can be really frustrated. And you can see she'll walk up to you and go, there you go. And after about 10 times, you want to strangle her because she's taking the mickey. But as they get older, they get much more sensible. But we think the peregrine, well, everybody thinks the peregrine is the fastest falcon in the world. But we've got a sneaky feeling the Gyr falcon is quicker. It's very powerful, very fast. They've got tremendous stamina. Sometimes a peregrine will fly at something, and if they miss, they give up. The Gyr falcons, if they get near something and they think they can catch it, they'll chase it for miles. And very often we go to Scotland hunting grouse in the heather, and the peregrine will stoop, and you know, they can be fast, 200 miles an hour plus. But if they don't hit the grouse, they give up, and the grouse will just fly off. But with a Joe falcon, if she gets close to it, she'll just tail in behind it and she'll chase it for miles. So with the peregrine, you see all the action around you within 100 yards or so. With these, it might take off after the growth, and you won't see the action very much, and then the tail end of it disappearing. And fortunately, we have telemetry and GPS, and without a doubt, the falcon has probably caught the growth, but you don't know how far. It's probably 3 or 4 miles, which can be really frustrating when you're sort of in a hurry and and it's starting to rain and you want to. So to start off, they get a lot of sense of they have this great sense of humour that they start with, but they get more serious as they get older and they start to behave themselves. So this one's wearing a hood, which of course if you hoodwink someone, what you've done is you've covered their faces to fool them. So if you hoodwink someone, you're conning them. We hoodwink the falcon because then it's in the dark, in the hood, and it keeps calm and quiet, as you can see. It's very, very easy going. Well, you're not having it back on your But if you, I don't know whether you watch horse racing on the telly, but very often on the flat racing, they can't get the horse in the stand, in the stall. And very often they'll put a black cloth over the horse's head. Horse now can't see the stall, so they push the horse in, and as soon as the race starts, they rip it off its head so you can see where it's going, and off it goes. Falcons are a bit the same. If we don't want them to get excited or use up too much energy before we want them to hunt, we use the hood, and they're all made to measure. So we make them for children as well. Come and see me later. Keep them ever so quiet. But you can see the hoods are different sizes and shapes, and they must fit absolutely perfectly. Would you let me pop your beak in there for me? And you can see she doesn't mind having the hood placed on her. She's quite happy about it all. And then if I want to do the hood up, you just use your hand in your teeth and so who's got a child that's really naughty? We can let's try a hood up.
Travis! Yeah.
I'm Hunter.
What do you think, Hunter?
If anyone would like to ask any questions or
I wanted to ask you about the pointer.
generally, all right, we use the pointer in a different way to shooting people, for instance. So our pointers are very respectful of the birds.
If it's been brought up with them, used to them.
When we get a new puppy, the first thing we do, we don't introduce them to the hawks because they're a bit mean, but we introduce them to the falcons, because the most a falcon will probably do to a dog, a puppy, is give it a bite on the nose, whereas the hawks will try to grab under their feet.
Right.
It's not so good. So the pointers grow up surrounded by birds of prey.
Knowing who's boss.
Yeah, and knowing that, if they step out of line, we give them we train them with the welly payment,
I got you.
No, so the pointers are taught to behave themselves around the birds, and the birds always come first, so the dog has got to back off it.
Excellent.
We don't want them to retrieve unless we tell them to, because if we're flying at a rabbit or a pheasant, we want the bird to catch it, not the dog. So the dog, as soon as it flushes a rabbit or a pheasant, whatever it is, the dog will stop.
Yeah.
It knows it's the falcon or the hawk's job. So they behave themselves very early on. Occasionally we will want the dog to maybe retrieve something. Maybe a falcon has hit a duck and knocked it into a lake or something like that. Then we obviously want the dog then to go and retrieve. But the dog's primary thing is not retrieving. It's pointing and flushing.
Okay.
So the dogs get used to it, and you can always tell a falconer's dog, if you're out in company, they won't go near the hawk or the falcon. Or if they do, it's very, very gingerly. They'll always be, hello.
Yeah.
This one, when we first had her, our pointer likes to go up and lick all the birds. He does it every morning. He goes around the mews and he goes to see all the dogs, all the birds. He wants to check on them. He gives them a bit of a lick and everything, and they all expect it. And when we had her, we'd only had her about a week, and I had her indoors, and the pointer came in. Oh, new falcon. Big mistake. Straight on his snout. And she didn't move it. What a bloody teaching.
Free comedy.
So that's all you want. One nip of the falcon. Don't go near that one again.